Welcome to the Impact Maker's Journey from Passion to Profits, the podcast showcasing heart-centered coaches, experts, and energy healers who are on a mission to change lives and create meaningful success doing what they love. I'm your host, Wendy Vaughn, business success coach and founder of Impact Maker Coaching. And I've got to be honest, the path from passion to profits is rarely easy, but it's always filled with growth, clarity, and surprising rewards. Now, each week I sit down with inspiring impact makers who have turned their knowledge and wisdom into thriving businesses that are making a meaningful difference for others. I will explore their personal and professional journeys, how they found their calling, and how they continue to stay aligned with their passion along the way. So if you're here to expand your vision about what's possible for yourself, you're in the right place. So join me as we discover the positive ripple effects created by today's guest. All right. Hi there. I have as my guest today, Heather Langton. Now, Heather is known as the Profit Queen, and she helps those neurodivergent business owners to create time freedom and efficiencies in their businesses. So welcome, Heather. I am so excited to have you as my guest today.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here and share how I do what I do.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to just learning a little bit more about your journey as an entrepreneur, as well as this great work that you're doing. Because, you know, in my opinion, every entrepreneur's journey is fascinating. It's always unique and contains a little bit of the hero's journey, right? You know, there's the tension and the excitement and the underdog and then the hero and all that. But generally speaking, it provides lots of opportunities, I'll put it that way, for personal growth, right? Do you agree?
Absolutely. Any situation you come across can be used for personal growth in business and personal everything, but
Yeah,
especially in business, definitely.
it can be very, very trying. And that's why I put it in air quotes, personal growth. So let me ask you, do you feel like you're the same person now as you were when you started this role or this, the business coaching role that you have right now?
Absolutely not. Nothing near the same.
Okay, case in
Um,
point.
yeah, and I would just say that in general, the more I do this, the more I work with people, the more I help people, the more I learn,
Yes.
and the more I become better as a person in general.
Yeah, it's a continuous evolution. I totally agree. I totally agree. And because that, like you said, that business development, personal development, it pretty much goes hand in hand. But the journey from passion to profits, that's not easy. There are some challenges, generally speaking. But the thing that really seems to ring true for all of us is that vision and dedication to making that meaningful difference for others. So I'd love to hear a bit about your journey, starting with curiously, of
Sure.
course, when you started your, being an entrepreneur and what prompted you to, lean into supporting those neurodivergent business owners and become an expert in your niche.
Okay. So have been self-employed for 24 years since 2001. So it's been a long road with a lot of learning, as you can imagine. My first business was a construction company, a remodeling company, and I owned and ran it for 15 years. The way that I got into it was that my husband knew how to do the remodeling work, and he wanted to open a business, and he didn't know how to do the business side of things. So when we first opened our company, I was actually a teacher as well. And I was
Oh my
doing all the
goodness.
books and the back end things in my quote unquote spare time. And after 3 years, the company grew so big that I couldn't do both anymore. And so I had to decide, do I want to hire somebody to run my company, or do
Mhm.
I want to stop teaching after only 3 years and run the company myself? And I ran it myself. It was not an easy decision because I
Yeah.
went to college for being a teacher, but it just I was so naturally good at it somehow that it just flowed. So it was the right choice.
That's great.
So I ran that company for 15 years. We hired a business coach in 2007 because we could not get our company to grow the way we wanted it to. And we tried everything that we could think of, my husband at the time and I, and nothing was changing it. And so we hired a business coach who gave us an outside perspective, who had different knowledge than we did, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In 2008 through 2012, using a business coach during that recession time,
Right, right.
we increased our revenue by 700%.
Yikes. Wow, that is amazing. In that
It
recession
was
period. That's huge.
exactly.
Exciting.
And at that moment, when I realized that, that was the moment that I thought, I want to do this for other people. That's so
Ah,
cool to be able to look at it and say, hey, look what I've done with my business. And it wasn't by myself. Even if I didn't have a business coach, it wouldn't be by myself. But
right.
I was able to learn enough to grow my company 700% during a time when most businesses were going out of business.
That is so
And
impressive.
it was really cool. It felt really neat.
Yes.
Um, so fast forward, got a divorce, closed the company in 2016, is what it is.
Right.
And then I actually started working for other people for about a year and a half, helping them with their operations management by going in and basically restructuring things for them until it started to run well, and then going to the next one and doing the same. After a year and a half of that, I decided that I could probably help a lot more people if I did it as a coach and showed them how to increase their revenue and profits and how to get
Mhm.
systems in and all that kind of stuff. So in 2019, I opened up my coaching business, and the company is On Point Business Coaching. And I started out thinking that my niche was going to be construction and the trades because that's what I
Okay.
knew a lot about,
Huh.
right?
Makes sense.
And so I was marketing to that, but I wasn't getting a lot of people in that niche, but I was getting a lot of clients in general over various different industries. And it took me until about a year ago to finally realize what they all had in common. Obviously, they weren't in construction and the trades. They
Right.
were all neurodivergent business owners. They all struggled with similar things. And then it hit me, holy moly, this is where I'm supposed to be. Now, I have ADHD. I've been diagnosed with PTSD. I'm neurodivergent, and somehow my quirky brain works well with their quirky brain, and it just kind
We
of
get each
meets. And
other. Right.
exactly. I had one client
But
who said to me,
you have the systems and skills and understanding to take it to a level of, transforming their business.
exactly. And I think with neurodivergent business owners, there are a lot of things that we struggle with: time blindness, executive function things, breaking things down into smaller tasks,
Right,
a
right,
lot of
right.
different things.
So
So,
yeah, 'cause
what
my son is neurodivergent, so I understand the superpowers that he has. And so what's going on for these business owners really that has them struggling or realize that, you know what, this is something's got to give.
one of the biggest things is time in general, meaning they have time blindness. They don't understand that they've used 2 hours for something, they think it's been 10 minutes.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
and that is very common in neurodivergence. The other thing is they can get lost in things. So they typically, a neurodivergent person has one big area that they're really good at, they really enjoy, they dive deep into it. And
mhm,
so they can neglect other things, not intending to, but they're just doing what they enjoy.
mhm,
Um, Other things are not being able to take a big project and break it down into pieces. So they get stage fright. They get their deer in the headlights and they just don't do anything. They shut down. And all those things are very common among neurodivergent people in general. And when you're
ah,
trying to run a business and those things are happening, that's really tough.
yes, that's
So,
right.
yep.
Especially
And
if
so
it's
over,
a business that is, well, even at a startup phase. But I'm thinking in terms of, well, startup and like if you have employees and deliverables and, lots of moving parts that are all requiring that level of, throughput, or everything
yes,
crumbles down. So, yeah.
yes. I have found that over the 24 years that I've been working for myself, I have figured out how to see the things that my neurodivergence is causing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that it's not a bad thing, but
Right.
I see the time blindness, for example. And so I have figured out how to deal with time blindness and how to bring it more into focus where I see where my time is more than I used to. And
Mm-hmm.
I've figured out how to teach that to neurodivergent business owners as well. So one of the things that I work with a lot with these owners is time management.
Sure.
Everybody can use more time management skills, I think. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
there's nobody that's perfectly efficient. So we're all constantly searching for how we can do better for less.
Mm-hmm.
Um, these business owners, if they learn to live by these things, these time management stuff, the time management
Tools and
tools, yes, exactly,
yeah,
that I give them, they see a huge change. Um,
but
I have a client who, when he came to me, he's very ADHD and he was all over the place and he wanted to make his company run more smoothly, but he was in 12 different directions any second of the day.
mm, yeah,
After about 3 months of coaching with him, he
that leads
started
to
bringing,
that leads to intense burnout. I mean,
it does.
it's not like that's okay, right? It's not. I say it's a
Yeah,
superpower, but there's still limitations, and it's exhausting.
it
And I would
is.
imagine that it leads to just a sense of just never enough, and the performance of the business might not be up there, and so there's frustration around just being not only spread too thin, but not getting the results you want. And so I'm just kind of playing this out as to how that looks like, besides just
Yeah.
being pulled in 100, 12 different directions. The impact of that
Yes.
is, I mean, I got a picture of what that must feel like, and it's got to be just, you know, the ultimate in frustration.
It is. And for me, I can sometimes feel like a failure because of that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I have to readjust. And so I work with a lot of owners who feel that they feel like they're failing. And one of the first things that I always do in coaching appointments is talk to them about them. How are they? How are they feeling? We talk about how do you feel personally right now? Because if we want to work on the business and you're thinking about something that's not going well in your personal life, you're not going to learn from it. But if we can get it out, talk about it for a few minutes, and then we can move on, and it works really well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say, so you were talking about how does it actually manifest itself? What does it look like
Yeah,
in the business owner for the business?
right.
So you'll hear a lot of neurodivergent business owners say they work a lot, but they don't get much done. They have a focus, but they have trouble staying on that focus. Um, they want to accomplish something. They have this big idea. They want to accomplish it and they don't know where to start. And so it goes on for years, this thought of what could I do that would make this work better?
Mm-hmm.
So I have a client who I've been working with for 3 months, and he started talking about the same idea for marketing for the third time within 3 months. And I had to stop. And so this is how I help. I had to stop him and say, okay, we've talked about this 2 times before now. What have you done to make this happen? And he said, well, I'm just still spitballing ideas. And I said, okay, here's the thing. We need to set a focus for you. And he was like, what do you mean? And I said, let's just make a list of the things that you would need to do to find out whether this marketing idea is viable and then to put it into place. And that's what we did. It's simple, but it's not.
Right, right.
Right.
If
Yep.
you have a tendency to want to take it on all at the same time, then having that straight and narrow path is huge.
Yes, it gives them a focus, it gives them a goal, and now they can stop thinking about it because it's in writing.
Mm,
So, one of the things that all of us do is we ruminate on things that aren't going the way we want them to. And that happens a lot in neurodivergence because we don't always have control over making things the way we want them to go. And so, if you take that into consideration, then it makes a big difference. Um,
Yeah, because that's taking up mental real estate and emotional,
Exactly.
I would imagine.
Exactly.
Just like
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
ping, 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 knock,
Yep.
knock,
Yep.
knock. Yeah,
And so it makes it so that your focus is so widespread you don't know what to do first.
mhm. Yeah, it's
So
just
having a path.
having that clarity, a strategy, and the systems or support to follow and execute that is just huge. It's huge. So
Yes.
after working with
Yes.
you, what does that look like? What does their business look like? What are they now able to do?
So one of the biggest things that I help people figure out is how to create systems in their business, how to build a foundation
Mhm.
such that if they needed to step away or wanted to step away, the company could run without them in the
Wow.
way that they want it to run, even though they're not there. It takes
Wow.
a lot. It's not a
That's
quick and easy
huge.
process,
What a
but
gift to be able to
yeah,
step away and have the business run smoothly. I mean, that's the
yes.
ultimate dream of business owners.
Freedom of time is what we all want when we go
Yeah.
into business for ourselves. And we
Right.
don't realize that it doesn't come easy. It takes a
Doesn't,
lot of work to get there.
yeah.
But once you get there, it's an amazing thing because when you get to a point where you don't have to be there for things to run, you
Hmm.
can use profits for different things. You can use it to help people who need help in the community in another country. You can
Hmm.
use it to take time to be with your loved ones. You can use it to help others with whatever they need, donations. There's so much you can do.
Yeah.
um, and with that money that you have in the company, you can still continue to grow that company if you're doing it right.
Hmm.
And the
Scalable.
systems grow with the company.
Nice. Nice.
So
That's
yeah,
huge.
yeah.
That is such a
Yep.
huge transformation from the description you gave us of before what life is like for the business owner to after, when they have not only control but can step away and have profits continue to increase, that time freedom. Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
And I've got to ask this, Heather, because I mean,
Mhm.
I've been kind of smiling at you. The crown. All right. Why do you wear a crown? Can you share
I
with
wear a crown because I am known as the Profit Queen.
us?
So my ultimate goal is to help people to make more profit so that they can step away from their business. My thought is we all think we want more money. What we really want is what the money will buy us, which is our freedom of time, which comes back to creating systems and things like that.
Mhm.
If you create systems, if you work with a business coach in general on any part of your business, it most likely will result in higher profits. And I have not worked with anybody so far that has not gotten higher profits after whatever we work on in their business.
So
So I've become known as the
you
profit
deserve
queen.
the Prophet Queen crown. I love that. And Heather, you're obviously
Yeah.
very passionate about doing this work. And, I'd love to hear your secret because what I've seen over and over, too many times, endlessly, I should say, during the 7 years that I've been coaching professional coaches and energy workers, is that, you know, the learning curve, the trying to figure things out, the frustrations, all of that, plus inconsistent results, really dampens that original vision and passion and excitement for going into business for yourself, for oneself. So, which is why I love being a business coach, because like you mentioned, at the end of the day, we make things so that the business is running smoothly and the profits increase. So share us with us, if you will, what is your secret to refueling your passion or keeping that passion so alive for serving these business owners?
Well, to answer that, I would have to go into the personal side of things because, again, business and personal are so linked together, we
Yep.
cannot fully separate them. If I start to feel frustrated in any way, I know that nature heals me. And so I go out into nature. I go up into the mountains a lot. Sometimes I just go out and sit in the sunshine for 15 minutes.
Mm.
Any of those things will help me keep focused on why I'm doing this. It takes away all of others' expectations and it puts it back to why am I doing? Not because they want this or they want it's because I have knowledge and I have seen how people's lives can change when they learn how to run their business better.
Oh, yes.
I actually had a client that I was working with. He was a pro bono client. I do pro bono work with those who have a criminal record and want to become an entrepreneur. I was doing some pro bono work with him and we were talking about hourly rates, what he needed to charge to keep the company open, this, that, and the other. And he gave me a price, an amount that he wanted for income for the year. And I was like, okay, seems low, but okay, let's go with it.
Mhm.
After we got done working with those numbers, I said, do you realize in 2 years you could be pulling in $200,000 a year, according to what we're seeing? And his world just exploded.
Mm.
He never, ever, ever in his life fathomed that he would be able to make more than what he currently was, really. And I see that in so many cases when I work with people, and it's not always about the money. It could be about the freedom of time. It
Sure.
could be about how do I get better employees and interact with them better and keep them happy? How do I support my community? How, all those different things. But working with clients, my favorite part of it is when their world explodes and they see brand new things all over the
Oh my
place. That
gosh.
keeps me going. That
Yes.
keeps me going.
Yes, I love that. And I just got like goosebumps. And when you were telling that story of how he must have felt in that moment and just like, oh, really?
Right. Right.
Just
And
the
then if he can fathom that, what else is out there? And now he realizes most likely that he doesn't know everything and that there's a lot to grow into. And
Mhm.
he can see how he can become a better person and all those things kind of roll together.
Right. And no doubt working with you, there's step-by-step improvements that make it believable that that kind
Yes.
of projection is actually not just pie in the sky. No, it's legit. It's like, no, 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 this plus this was there's a strategy
Yes.
and a
Yep.
plan. And so I love
Mhm.
that. Yeah. And I truly believe that helping people to achieve those exciting new levels of happiness, joy, and financial success really creates that ripple effect that just is infinite because
Yep.
now he's able to realize his vision, which I'm sure the work that he does provides service for others, and it just goes
Mhm.
on and on and on. One of my mentors early in my career was Mark Victor Hansen, the co-author for Chicken Soup for the Soul. He wasn't my personal mentor. He and Bob Proctor started a mastermind called the 3% Club, and I was in that many years ago. It was an amazing experience. But one of the things he shared with me, and I'm sure thousands of others, is that he said, Wendy, you need to have just a big, hairy, audacious goal, something that fuels your passion, something that helps you to get over yourself, see beyond these
Yeah.
little bumps, little barriers. And so for me, throughout my career as an entrepreneur, I've had different iterations of a BHAG, as he calls it, big, hairy, audacious goal. And currently, as a business coach, which is, again, one of the reasons I love the work that I'm doing, is my vision is to raise consciousness within humanity. And that seems lofty, but it's just like you were describing the work that you do, the work that other coaches do, and energy workers to shift people's paradigms about what's
Mhm.
possible and wake up to the fact that it is possible, right? That's what raises consciousness. And so that's why I love the work that I do. So I'm putting you on the spot, Heather. Do
Mhm.
you have a big audacious goal or vision for yourself or your business?
I absolutely do. And
Okay.
I steal it from my clients because I want to be the one that has freedom of time as well.
Ah,
Um, Originally, my goal was to bring in enough money to pay my bills and to help those that I could help. Now, I see growing my company to a point where I can train other people to help the people that are out there that need it.
ah,
And I mean, so in business, you do better as you learn. It's all about learning and education. Everything in business is easy to learn if you just focus on it and figure out what it means, how it interacts with everything else, and how to make it grow. So everything you learn about business is every time you learn things about business, your business will grow. I'm a teacher. Funny
mhm,
enough by trade, but also I'm a teacher right now. I ran businesses and did really well with it. And I figured out ways to share that in a way that, even people that are neurodivergent who struggle with the neurotypical ways to do things, they can accomplish these things.
Right.
And so it's kind of simple in a way, but I just would love to make sure that and I don't just teach the business concepts, obviously. I am the kind of person, I'm not a personal coach, but I do understand we're all people first. We are business owners second. And
Mhm.
I would love for the world to feel that way. We are
Mm.
people first, employees second.
Right.
We are all, yeah. So even having the ability to train other people to help new business owners or existing, but whatever, other
Mhm.
business owners, and then me being able to do whatever I would like to do in life, travel or spend time with family or help people who don't have the money to get a business coach, but they're like, I do the pro bono coaching. I would love to do more of that, all those kinds of things.
Yeah, and
And
if you're
so,
seeking to train others to do that, then that's your wisdom and mastery that you're transferring that knowledge to, and it's, rippling out into all aspects. So I love that. Yeah, I love that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And honestly, to be an entrepreneur is not an easy thing to do. And if somebody has taken the courage to take that step,
Hmm.
then most likely what they need next is more education on how to make it better and how to make it better. And it's a simple process that is not easy to do. But once you start getting into the process of growing the company and learning about how to run a business, it
Yeah,
gets easier.
it
Things fall into
does. But
place.
there's also knowing what to do when, in addition to how.
Yes.
To do
Yes.
when is super important. And like you were talking about, these people with the super processors, as I fondly refer to my son, you have a super processor. Doing what's best next is not always a clear path. So,
Yes.
you know, once it's all laid out and there's a clear plan, it's a game changer. So I love the work that you do, and it's so important. So, Heather, what is the best next step for anyone, any of those business owners who have that type of a processing system, those neurodivergent business owners who feel the frustrations and feel the exhaustion, and like what they're doing is just never enough, and they're curious about the possibility of working with you? What's the best next step?
Well, I have a website. It's onpoint.coach. And it tells all about what I do, who I am, where I've come from, that kind of thing. So if anybody is curious about me, more about me, they could go there. There's obviously a contact page on there. I can also be directly reached by telephone. I'm sure that you will display the number or put it in, but
I'm
the
gonna, yep,
number,
look in the show notes, listeners, for
perfect.
the link to Heather's website. And do you do a consultation or an initial uh,
Yes. So
meet and greet?
yep, absolutely. Once they contact me, we figure out a time to meet. I do everything virtually, so we meet by Zoom, and it takes between 30 and 45 minutes for that initial consult, which is no charge. And basically, what I'm looking for is what are your top 3 issues in business, and what could I do to help you address those things? And it's for 2 reasons that I do that. First reason being that if I feel like I can help you, that's great. But if I can't, I'm not going to take your money. The other thing is, this is a very personal thing to allow somebody into your business. And so they need to feel like I'm going to be a team member
Mm.
and that we're working together. And if we don't jive, that won't work either. So the intro meeting is basically for us to say, okay, looks like we're good. What do we do next? We just
Is it
move
a good
forward
fit?
with learning and growing.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yep.
yeah, I
And so
love
from
that.
that point on, yep, and that point on, they decide if they want to work with me. We do a contract. I'm month to month, and we just accomplish goals together.
Nice, nice, very
Yeah.
straightforward. And that initial consultation is so important because that gives everybody the chance, like you said, to just determine if it's just going to be a good fit and what's really possible. And I'm struggling with this. Is that something that you can support me with? And just that clarity, and
Yes,
confidence to move forward. So yeah, I love it.
absolutely.
Well, Heather, this has just been so much fun. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and truly expanding our view of what's possible for business owners in creating that kind of a freedom lifestyle that allows them to continue to grow their business and create that consistency and profit.
Yes,
Along with
absolutely.
your
Thank you
profit
so
stream.
much.
So yeah,
Yes,
it's truly been my pleasure. And thank you so much for the work you're doing.
thank you.
All right. Well, the real life transformations facilitated by experts like my guest today are truly priceless. I mean, happiness, joy, peace, love, right? These are all what each of us ultimately strives for in life. But becoming a sought after and well-paid coach or energy healer is often challenging, overwhelming, and frustrating. So if you're a heart-centered coach, expert, or energy healer who's striving for more ease, flow, and abundance, well, I've created a special gift just for you. So check out the show notes. All right, well, this is Wendy Vaughn signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to join me for my next episode where we'll be inspired by yet another impact maker's journey.